Okay, so for this module, we're going to start looking at volcanoes. So we've got all the rocks under our belt, and we've talked about igneous rocks in general. Now we want to get a little specific. We want to start talking about hazards. And one of the first hazards we're going to discuss is volcanoes. So there's going to be two modules that focus on volcanoes. So although you do have some igneous rock knowledge, I want to go a little more in depth into volcanoes in general. So what do they look like? What are the different types? Where do they occur? We want to get those kind of basics and understand those things before we start talking about all of the hazards. So in this first module, we're going to cover the kind of the basics, and then the second module, we're going to talk about the hazards that are associated with the different types of volcanoes, lava flows, ash fall, explosions, all that crazy stuff. And then in that second module, we'll talk about how do we kind of mitigate those hazards, right? So this week, we're going to talk more about the basics. So that's where you're going to learn in the PowerPoint here. There is some information in the online textbook that you can go through that both of those should give you plenty of information to be able to get through the lecture quiz. And then I did just throw some YouTube videos that show different types. So throughout the PowerPoint, you're going to hear about the different types of volcanoes that there are. And so cinder cone is one, something called a stratocone, a caldera. These are just examples so you can kind of see what they look like and how they erupt. So you can look through those just to help you with understanding the different types of volcanoes. For the article, we're just going to go through something called the explosivity index. And so it's just going to walk you through how do we rate volcanoes. So that we rate earthquakes, we give them a scale and, big and small and that kind of stuff. We could do the same for volcanoes. We just use a slightly different method to evaluate how explosive they are. And that's what you'll learn in this article. And then you can go ahead and take the quiz. And then for the homework, there are two parts to it. One is a video, although it's not the full video. So when you click this link, it'll take you to the MCC video library. You may have to log in with your MEID and password. But it's how the earth was made, about the ring of fire. But the stuff that I want you to go through is the first 20 minutes only. So usually these are about 50 minutes. You can, of course, watch the whole thing. But because it talks about both volcanoes and earthquakes, and we're not in the earthquakes part yet, the stuff that I want you to kind of focus on is just in the first 20 minutes. And then the second part is going to ask you to go to a website. So when you click this second homework assignment, it's going to bring up a Canvas quiz that's untimed and have a link to it. And when you click that link, it's going to bring you to this page here, which is the Smithsonian Global Volcanism Program. And I'm just going to ask you to choose one of these volcanoes and answer some questions about it. So once you click it, it'll bring up some information about that volcano. And then in the main page here, you'll get some information, and then you can go through this other parts of the information here. So let me see here. Go down here. Here's the tabs, right? And so what you'll want to do is eruptive history and general information are the two main, I think, tabs that you'll want to go through. And it talks about, what kind of volcano it is. So general information is going to give you some of the stuff that I'm asking for in the homework, and then eruptive history. So those should be the two that you just kind of jump to answer the questions. So you're just going to pick 3 of those, and that's going to be part of your homework. And then, of course, don't forget, we do have where's that guy at? We have a lab associated with this. So when you come to the lab, there's going to be a few review things, stuff that hopefully we picked up in the lecture, but a little review, a little chart, and then there are 2 parts, but you're going to go to this part 1 here, and if we take a quick look at it, what's going to have you do is look at some properties of the volcanoes and ask some questions. It is going to ask you to generate some profiles, and you can do that. They're going to look something like this. You can do that in the Google Earth Pro. And so we're trying to look at the shape of the volcano and identify it by its shape. So you can do that in Google Earth Pro by drawing a line across the volcano, and it gives you a side view. and then we can interpret the volcano based on that. So I'm asking you to generate those in Google Earth. Of course, there is a whole little tutorial video in the lab that walks you through how to do that. And then I'm asking you for a couple of those to take a screenshot and save those to your desktop. And that's what the second part is. You'll go ahead and turn those in. Okay, so that's what you're going to do this week. So those 3 things, and of course the lab and the lab quiz as usual. And so as you're working through this stuff, if you do get stuck or you're having any issues with the content, please don't hesitate to contact me and I will help you out.